Today on Locked On Canadiens, yes, the Montreal Canadiens prospect lost both games of the prospect showcase, but did you see what Ivan Demidov did?
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into episode 1380 of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day, and for subscribing wherever you get your podcast. Doing that ensures you do not miss an episode, and it supports us here on the show. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, we are your team every day. My name is Ian Boisvert, also known as that Maybe It's Ian, and I'm joined as I always am by Laura Saba, also known as the Actor Stick. Laura, as our listeners are hearing my voice and soon your voice, the Montreal Canadiens are a week away from playing preseason games. We made it. This is the final tune-up of no hockey. We got a little bit of hockey over the weekend, but we're there. We made it. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. Honestly, just watching everything, just watching fans pack the Bell Center for a meaningless rookie showcase, just to see some guys play, some dudes play, other than Ivan Demidov. How many of them are we going to see this season? Right? Just unbelievable. I can't even begin to think about just how when the official season starts, the first home game, I can't even begin to think about how loud it's going to be.
Yeah, I was legitimately shocked at how loud and intense the Bell Center was for that game. Now, it's obvious why, right? A certain number 93 makes it very easy to get loud in that building. But I'm still surprised at how on board that whole team was with watching whatever it was we had to watch this weekend.
I think, honestly, I find that everyone's just getting in on the action, right? Like the memes are on point. The RTL, I don't know if it was like smugness or not, but the RTL put Go Habs Go on the bus that was going to downtown from the South Shore, which I don't know if you've been following this, but the actual STM buses aren't doing so right away because of cost reasons. But the RTL was just like, I don't care. It's prospect showcase. We're putting in Go Habs Go on the buses. I find that this whole city has become electrified in such a way that I have not seen in a long time. Like, I won't say I've never seen it, but it's been a long time since the start of a season. And I would say maybe the start of a season that that I can think of was that one year where the Montreal Canadiens came first in the division under Guy Carbonneau, and I cannot remember if it was 2008 or 2009. But
0708.
0708, right. So off season 08 was super exciting, and we know that things didn't go according to plan at that point. But I feel like this team is a lot more concrete. This front office and this coaching staff is a lot more substantial. And so I feel like this excitement is not unwarranted. I don't think, the Canadiens are winning the cup this year. They might. I'm not ruling it out. It's possible. But I find that the excitement in the city is just something else this time around. And if the buzz is just so fun to be part of.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about that buzz. We'll start talking about Ivan Demidov, his dominant game on Saturday. We'll talk about some lessons we've learned from rookie camp. I know a lot of times we like to just talk about who did great, who didn't, but I want to talk about what we may have legitimately learned. That was new information that we gleaned from these rookie showcase games. And then, of course, we'll do the AM sports radio of studs and duds. We'll talk about the guys who played well, some of the guys who maybe we were a little disappointed in. All right, Ivan Demidov. I texted you and Scott before the game. I said, I think he scores 4 points in this game.
Close.
He didn't. He had 3, but I still think that was worth the price of admission, no matter how much they charged you to get into that building. Like, was it unfair for the Canadiens to put Ivan Demidov in that game? Obviously not, because they ended up losing anyway. It didn't matter. But that, he shouldn't be in a game like this.
He's a cheat code.
Yeah.
He's a cheat, compared to the competition that he was playing with, which again are his peers. If you look at years of experience, age, et cetera, these are his peers. And he was skating circles around them. He looked like a cheat code. And I know that it's very different with full-time NHLers. I know that it's very different with experienced players. But if this is the way that he is against his peers now, after a couple of years when he's playing amongst full-time NHLers and he is a full-time NHLer, I feel confident that he's always going to give us something to be excited about. I find the way he controls his own game
Yeah.
is something to watch. Like, there's something about the way that he's fast and he's skilled and all of that, but the control that he has, like, it just seems like smug almost. And he's playing with joy. He's not playing with
Yeah.
smugness, but just the way that you watch him on the ice, you're like, that guy's just being unfair right now. It's rude almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found so the biggest pop in the arena other than his goal was a play that he made behind the net. He was controlling the puck well along the wall. People couldn't touch him. He gets behind the Winnipeg net and goes backhand off the back of the net back to himself. The defender covering him went flying. He completely broke his ankles. The building erupted on that play. Like, the building recognized that that's something we have not seen somebody do, and I fear that we're going to see it with some regularity over the next, however many years it is. I found that play was especially. He didn't even score on that play. I don't even believe he got an assist or set up any offense. Mostly because he's playing with guys who are not going to play or start in the NHL this year. In Kapanen and Xhekaj were on his line, who I think were great in their own right. I want to talk about Xhekaj later. But then, of course, his goal. And I found that his goal was incredibly reminiscent of Cole Caulfield's goal that he scored in the playoffs against the Vegas Golden Knights, where the puck gets to him and he sort of tips it by the defender. He doesn't accept the pass, more so as just deflect it for the time being to an open space to get to it. Caulfield beat Leonard up top with a shot, if I remember correctly. Ivan Demidov puts on one of the moves that we've seen him do in every highlight package that we've consumed of his over the last 3 or 4 years. I know we shouldn't be shocked that he can do these things, but I'm still shocked by how automatic that felt. By how Demidov took that puck at the blue line, and I was like, he's scoring on this play. There's not a guy who the Canadiens have ever had in my lifetime where I will feel confident having said that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he gives them a chance every single night, right? And this is his rookie year. Like, and he didn't even play that many minutes in his full-time KHL role last year, right?
No.
So, like, this is like, imagine him with all this ice time, and I know he's worked hard all summer. Imagine him as his ice time goes up, as his opportunities go up. Like, I'm having a hard time, and I think I'm not the only person who shared the sentiments. Is that I'm having a hard time managing my own expectations of Ivan Demidov. Every time I see him on the ice, with every single shift, he slaps me in the face. I'm like, I gotta be calm. I have to, not put too much hype on this kid, not put too much expectation on this kid, not put too much pressure on this kid. And every single time he's on the ice, it's like he's laughing at me.
Yeah, that's how I was very open with that about Lane Hudson. How I was like, I'm going to manage my own expectations for this guy. I am not going to allow myself to get too excited. I don't want to put too much on this kid. I don't want to get hurt by my own emotions of following this child in his goal in playing in the National Hockey League. And every night he made me look stupid. And I'm at a point now with Demidov where I think I am just going to sit back and enjoy the ride. I'm not going to try to manage my own emotions. I'm not going to try to manage my own expectations, because I'm just going to let the dude play hockey. And that's, I think, the best way you will be able to appreciate the season that he's about to have. I
Yeah.
talk about this a lot. The teams that you will enjoy, you will enjoy watching the most in the moment and look back on the fondest, are these versions where they're not quite there yet, but we're seeing promise. The expectations for the whole team are still pretty low. We're not asking for a ton out of them. This year is going to be one of those where we're still not asking a ton. If they miss the playoffs, it's not really all that surprising, especially if Boston and the Rangers get their legs back under him. But like, watching this season through the lens of, holy cow, we get to watch Ivan Demidov as a rookie. And I will reiterate something I said last year a lot about Lane Hudson. This is the worst version of Ivan Demidov we're going to see. This version where he's doing that gestures at Saturday night. Like, that's it. That's the worst, where every day he's going to get better. What did you think about them not playing him on Sunday? I thought that it was a good decision, but I want to hear what your thoughts are.
I thought it was the right decision from a player/team standpoint. I just thought it was mean to the fans because he's
Yeah.
literally like Like, if you look at the ads, his face is there, right? Like, people probably paid for those tickets to see Ivan Demidov, knowing that they probably can't afford to see him during the regular season. So that was a little bit cruel, but from a player standpoint and a team standpoint, 100%, I understand it and I agree with it.
Yeah, he had nothing to prove at that point.
Yeah.
The only thing he would have been able to prove is how resistant to concussions is he. Like, that would have been the only, and I don't want to test that. So I'm glad that they sat him, but completely agree to run the whole ad campaign around, hey, come see Ivan Demidov, and then you don't even tell people that he's not playing until warm up. And even really, if you're not paying attention to warm up, you only find out afterwards that he's not in the lineup. Like, I think that's kind of lame. But with that all said, it makes sense that they didn't play him. I'm certainly not upset that he sat, although the second game was a bore. Anyway, that's a different conversation. When we come back, we're going to talk about lessons learned from the rookie camp. Not this guy I did a good thing and I thought he would. I want to talk about things that we learned for the first time about these prospects, and we'll get into that in just a moment here on Locked On Canadiens. Let me guess, you just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? It's easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. Look, we've all been in that situation where every day that you need to hire, you cannot find the person and it feels like a setback. The pressure's on and it's just you need to find the right person. That's exactly when Indeed sponsored jobs comes in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. All right, we're back. Let's talk about things that we learned. Brand new things that are not Florian Xhekaj can play hockey, right? We need to talk about things
That's next.
Right. That's next.
Segment.
And I do want to talk about that because I thought he was very good in these two games. I'll start us off here. I knew Owen Protz was violent. I did not think that his violence would immediately translate to an NHL type game, and I was wrong. That man is out to hurt you, and in a way that I think right now, at least in this instance, didn't immediately put his team into danger. I'm thinking of the one hit. I can't even think of the poor player that got hit in the Winnipeg game, where he gets a shot, but he gets another shot from Owen Protz, and that's the sort of thing that when you take that hit, yeah, maybe you got the shot off the first time, but maybe the second time you're in that area of the ice, maybe you're a little nervous because you think I'm going to get flattened by number 68. What did you think of Owen Protz? Did you learn the same thing I did?
I did. I know why the organization is so high on him, but I did find myself kind of zaprudering all the gifs of the hits just to make sure he didn't hit someone in the head. Like, he's definitely I'm nervous about him being a borderline player, and I don't want that. I want so badly for him to be the kind of guy that flattens you, but I don't want to have these endless situations where he's targeting the head. And I don't think he was. Let's be fair. I don't think he was doing that, but I find myself really apprehensive about all of these, he should have kept his head up conversations, which I really do not want to have. I want him to do those hits. I want him to keep it reined in, but I do see the Montreal Canadiens wanting him to make an NHL lineup someday.
Yeah. And it's clear to me now, and it has been for a while, but it's reinforced in moments like this, that the Canadiens have a type when they're picking later in the draft. They want big, mean, going to knock you over guys. Owen Protz is one of those guys. Bryce Pickford, who was hurt, we didn't get to see, is one of those guys. Tyler Thorpe, who I think is another guy I learned, we knew he was big. We knew he was physical. We knew. What I didn't know was that he's a legitimate jerk. Yeah. That guy is such a word I can't say on this show. I cannot believe just how in a meaningless game, it's tough to get your emotions up if you're a player like that, to get into a spot where I'm going to get in a guy's face. I'm going to throw him to the ice. That was easy for Tyler Thorpe. I'm That was my first true viewing of this player, and I'm very excited to see what comes next for him. What did you think of Tyler Thorpe in these games?
I honestly really loved it. I did. And I think I was in, like, because last year he was in the showcase, and I'm pretty sure the game that he was in, or I was there for the game that he played. And he surprised me in that he's better than I thought, right? And with both of these players, reading the scouting reports, knowing what the Canadians tend to do, like I was a little bit nervous that they're nothing but violence, but they're not. They're able to keep up with the game. Now, whether this translates to the NHL a few years from now,
Right.
we don't know, right? It certainly seems like they'll have a place in the AHL for absolutely, right? So to me, like I wasn't surprised by how violent he was, but I was surprised in that he like how good he was, how much better at actually playing hockey than I thought, right?
Yeah.
And I do want to also mention, obviously, this is one thing we didn't learn from rookie camp, was Hayden Papanik's like not being able to make it,
Yeah.
right? Because when we didn't talk about this in the draft video analysis that we did last week, which you should check that out. It was in our, I believe, Thursday episode. But he talked a lot about being big, mean, and violent while being disciplined, right? And
Yeah.
he got challenged by the Canadians on that in his interview. But in my mind, I'm like, that's exactly what we need these guys to be. We need them to be tough. We need them to be violent. We need them to be mean, but we need them to stay within the lines. We need them. These are guys that like the Florida Panthers are playing right now.
I was about to say that team,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the mentality. I think the challenge in what the Panthers do is the Panthers try to flood the zone. They're not going to call everything. Like they fully understand that I am going to go over the line and sometimes get caught, and I'm allowed to act indignant about it because I'm a hockey player. And sometimes I'm going to go over the line and they're just going to let it go because they're not going to give the other team 9 power plays every game. That does not translate to individual players, right? Like if Tyler Thorpe is going out there and just doing this all of the time, Tyler Thorpe is going to get nabbed every time. But if it's Tyler Thorpe does it and then goes off the ice, and the next line has a guy like a Florian Jacquet that comes out and does the same thing, and then the next line has Juraj Slafkovsky out who does the same thing. That's how the Panthers are successful at it. It comes in waves. They don't stop. So having guys like Tyler Thorpe and having guys like Owen Protz are good, but they cannot be the team toughness. They can't be the entire team. It needs to be a mentality, which it's very clear that the Canadians are trying to foster in
Yeah.
their own way. Like Nick Suzuki's not going to be a goon, but he's going to lay the body from time to time.
Yeah.
They need Juraj Slafkovsky to be meaner. And I think that just like watching guys like Thorpe and Protz, those are guys that can play with that edge. And eventually they're going to need more guys on the team to play with that edge. Whether or not those guys make it, that's why they got picked, was to bring that element to the Canadians.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm getting so excited all over again.
Did you have anything else that you learned for the first time from these 2 games that you wanted to say before we move on?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if you have him in the next segment, but I did want to talk really quickly about Philip Machar,
Yeah.
and more what he said. And it seems very clear to me that Philip Machar is taking responsibility and accountability, right? Like he's not blaming it on anyone else. He's not throwing it on anyone else. He says he knows he needs to be better. He says he's going to prove the Canadians did the right thing by taking their chances on him. I really liked that from him. And that, like, we're going to talk about obviously his games, particularly the Sunday game in a second in our next segment. But it's just like that one thing that, because I often felt that there was a lack of that kind of language from him. And I feel like he's come back and he's like, it's in my hands and I'm gonna do the work. I have to be better. I loved that responsibility and that accountability from him.
Yeah, and I love it too. We used to get it all the time in the last administration of like, prospects putting a lot of pressure on themselves to be better because the organization put a lot of pressure on the prospects to be better, but they never gave them the tools to be better, right? The Canadians on the other hand, like Philip Machar, in all reality, does not have many excuses with the way that the Canadians have built their prospect pipeline. If you don't make it, somebody else is going to. We have one of the best prospect pipelines in the league. You have to figure it out. We're going to give you every tool at our disposal to make you that guy. And if you can't do it, that's on you. I love to hear that from him. I love to hear that he's accountable. I also love to hear that the Canadiens want Philip Machar to play like Brad Marchand. Because I think I was like, man, that's kind of crazy. Like I don't know if they're even like similar. They are almost exactly the same size. It's a perfect sort of way to get him to play. Even if you can't get him to get Brad Marchand's personality of his like troll where he's just getting in your face, if you can get him to play in front of the net and play with good vision like Brad Marchand does, with good hands like Brad Marchand does, you're laughing.
He can
So
still be a
I love it.
pest he can still be a pest without being an absolute jerk, right? Like they're
Yeah.
two different things.
Yeah, he can still be a pest while keeping his tongue in his mouth.
Yeah, he's not going to be licking anyone's face or biting anyone's glove.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, we'll leave the lessons we learned there. When we come back, let's reinforce some things that we knew by talking about some players that we thought did really well and some players who maybe took their foot off the gas. And we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. The NFL season is here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Why do I love using FanDuel? I love because it fits however I like to bet. I like to play player props. I like to play anytime touchdowns. I like to parlay some money line games. That's how I like to play. FanDuel makes it super easy. Pretty exciting when you're watching your team and you're able to track everything in the app as well. And hey, there's a Monday night doubleheader as you're listening to this. There's a couple games left this week. So why don't you head over to FanDuel and get in on the action? So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right. Studs and duds here, Laura. We're talking about guys who did well. We're talking about guys who didn't. Ivan Demidov, stud. We did that. We can leave that there. He was excellent. It's not really worth chatting about all that much more because we have there's meat and potatoes we have to get through here. We had our dessert off the top of the show. Who's the first guy that comes to mind when you thought this guy had a good prospect showcase?
Obviously, Florian Jekaj.
Yeah, I thought he was great.
Clear front runner on that respect, I think. Florian Jekaj did not come to play. He came to win a spot. Yep. He showed up at a game. He was required to play it, but he did not come to play. He did not come to mess around. He came to say, I'm going to play on the Montreal Canadiens this year. I don't know if it's going to work, but his attitude, everything about him, that's what it screams to me.
Yeah, look, I mean, I found it interesting that he was playing on the line with Ivan Demidov, who was doing Demidov things and was still finding a way to stand out in his own right. I thought that was spectacular. And it also made me curious. Not that Florian Jekaj is going to play with Ivan Demidov again. I would bet against that if I could. But I wonder if maybe that was sort of a testing ground for whether or not a guy like a Zach Bolduc could work next to Ivan Demidov, because the concept of it passes the smell test. Like, I think it makes sense to put a guy who can go in deep and forecheck well and steal the puck and also have pretty decent finishing skills to play next to that guy. I think it could be a really, really good combination. So yes, completely co-signed. The Locked On Canadiens opinion is that Florian Jekaj ruled at this tournament. I really enjoyed him as well.
Yes, I love him.
Yeah, same. I want to look in the net for a second. I thought Jacob Fowler was locked in.
Yeah.
I thought, in the first game, he didn't give up any goals. I thought he was spectacular in keeping that net. Second game, he gave up a couple, but they weren't necessarily his fault. The first one I thought maybe was a little like one of those Sam Montembeault goals that always drives me nuts, or wrister from the blue line that just squeaks through. I don't think it ever left the ice. That's what bothered me about it the most. But I thought that looking at him, it was clear that we have an alpha in the goaltending pipeline. We knew that going into this, which is why it's not a lesson learned. But that's the guy. And it very much, I wasn't fully prepared for how good he was going to look. He looked great. Especially
in a meaningless tournament. This guy has already played playoff AHL games, right? He doesn't need really to do as well. And he did. So that's for me, like, that's what I was also kind of looking for, was the way they carried themselves.
Yeah. You want to give us another stud and then we'll move on to some guys who maybe weren't so great?
I don't want to talk about Philip Machar. I thought he had a great game.
Yeah.
The second game was like really like I and again, this time last year we were having the same conversation saying he did not give us anything to be excited about. he's shown up looking different. I don't know if it's the effort. I don't know if it's something clicking in his brain, but he's showing us the promise that we saw in him a few years ago, and that was just kind of lacking over the last couple of years.
Yeah, totally agreed. I think, that's a guy we're all looking for a step forward from, and I'm hoping this is a good leap for him into the training camp proper. I think
Mm-hmm.
that this is, it's a small thing, it's a small sample size. That's all we have at this moment. And I thought he did pretty well. The last guy I want to mention as like a positive was Adam Engstrom. I
Mm-hmm.
thought in game one, when he wanted to take the puck up the ice, he was just gonna do it. And
Yeah.
I love when a guy recognizes when I have this talent, I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it. I thought it was peak Mike Matheson. Like when he wanted to just take the puck up the ice for a skate, he did it. Mike Matheson did that. I thought Engstrom did that, especially in the first game of the tournament.
Yeah. We can't wait too long before we come up with a graphic for Adam Engstrom in case they decide to trade Mike Matheson, and then we're gonna need a meter for Adam.
Yeah, I'm very much sad at the point that like this might be the last year of that
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Although whenever he comes back and plays against Montreal, we're doing that. So we have that at least. Hopefully he stays in conference, maybe even in division, so that we
Yeah.
can,
We can see
bring
him a
that up.
lot.
Yeah, we can keep doing that. All right, I'll get us started with duds here. I really didn't like the two games we saw from Owen Beck. I
Same.
thought that was a guy that should have not dominated to the extent that Demidov did, but maybe to the extent that like Florian Jacki did. I thought that it wasn't a great showing from Owen Beck.
I think he's over it. And I think, right, I think he's, as you pointed out, Owen Beck played NHL games in 2023.
Yeah, he
Right?
shouldn't be here.
He shouldn't
Like,
be here. He shouldn't be a rookie. He's a full-time AHLer. I think that he played it wrong. I think that doesn't matter how over it he is. It doesn't matter how beneath him this tournament might be. I think he needed to come out and play it very much like it was playoffs. And I didn't like that he didn't do that because I think we all know that he's capable of it. I think we
yeah,
all know he's capable of playing like Florian Jacki or even better, right? So that's what disappointed me. And so I think in the preseason, he better reverse that opinion. Not from me, because I don't make decisions, but the people who are making the decisions were also at the Bell Center watching that game.
yeah. I dearly hope that they're not making too many big decisions based on these rookie games. Cause like what? Like it's just not I ranted a lot last week. I'm gonna spare everybody the rant on this. Just the spark notes is that I hate these rookie showcase games a lot. I
And the
never
preseason. Ian
and
does
the
not like games
preseason.
that don't mean anything.
Yeah, hockey for hockey's sake sounds cool, but then it's just having ice cream for dessert or for dinner every night, and then your tummy hurts. Like that's what this is. So I just can't bring myself to get all that excited about it. Anybody else in the dud category that you want to highlight here?
Honestly, like other than Jacob Fowler, I was a little bit concerned about the goaltending.
Oh yeah. Who was the guy? I have his name written down because I could not remember it for the life of me here. Vic Vanigs.
Yeah,
Uh, Bad. Just
not good. Not good.
not a particularly strong goaltending option moving forward. I thought that Radkoff was pretty good in the second game. I thought he looked very calm and poised in his net, which I was, again, a pleasant surprise. I didn't know much about him. To quote Shaq, I apologize. I wasn't familiar with your game. But like this goalie is not, it's a non-option. I know it's a small sample size, but boy, that was not good.
No, that's not like I honestly, and again, it's not a big deal. It's not
No.
consequential, right? I was like, oh, like there was a lot of moments where I was like, like
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know a word for the sound I just made.
Yeah. I mean, just think of it this way. We are at least 4 goaltending injuries away from having to see him in Montreal.
Yeah.
Like that's not a non-factor for me. I think he was playing in that game because they needed a goalie to play in that game.
They needed a
Like I
body.
don't. Yeah, and at that point I'm like, why not just give Fowler the whole game and then
Yeah.
play Radkoff the next day? But
Fairness.
yeah, it's professional sports. I think fairness is out the window. at that level.
Yeah.
Any other parting thoughts that you had on this weekend for Canadiens hockey, which is still super fun to say, even though we're not quite
Honestly,
there yet?
I'm so excited for the season to start, like the actual season, the games that mean something, the games Ian does not hate.
Yeah, yeah, and look, I'm preseason has its value. It does. Like, don't get me wrong. Um, you know, it's tough to watch these guys slam into each other at not full speed, because we all know they're not going at full speed, but at a speed that is still a little uncomfortable. I don't really love it. So, we'll get there. As you're listening to this, we are a week away from the Canadiens playing against the Pittsburgh Penguins in their preseason opener. Hopefully Crosby's there and paying attention. Would be nice to see, another prospect Montreal Canadian, and that
If
he's
you're
not one
going
now, but he will be soon.
if you're going to that game and you're at the Bell Center and Crosby happens to be either watching or playing in that game, you better be freaking loud.
This just crossed my mind. There's no chance the Penguins are sending Crosby to Montreal. There's zero chance they are creating that media. If they send Crosby to play in that game in Montreal, they're morons. They might be the dumbest front office in all of sports.
But they will, or he will, watch the game from home. That's all I'm saying. He's not going to not watch that game. He's Sidney Crosby.
No, for sure. He's not taking a game off his entire life. All right, we'll leave that there. Let us know what your thoughts are on the rookie showcase games. Do you like them? Did you enjoy it? Were you a little bummed that Dimidov didn't play in game 2? Let us know in the comments, either on YouTube right below this video, or send it to us via email, lockedoncanadiens@gmail.com. We collect mailbag questions there, or just fun stories that you guys like to share with us. But we do a mailbag episode once a week every Friday, so send in your mailbag questions. We'll get to them this week. You can follow us at Locked On Canadiens just about everywhere we're posting things. Bluesky, Instagram, and TikTok primarily. So follow us on all of those places. You can send in mailbag questions to those as well, but I find that the email is the easiest way to get information to us. You can find me at Maybe It's Ian. You can find Laura at The Active Stick. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow.